going to start. The idea is to show you a little bit of our material, our pedagogical principles, how we work here at Cel.Lab, and then show you the material itself, each part, and discuss a little bit of strategies that you can use to work with the material, see some activities, and how we can work with the activities in the classroom, okay? So I'm going to share the screen with you. Can you see the slide? Yes? Fantastic. So, to start talking about Ensino Médio and how we work with it, I want to present you the foundations we have, the pedagogical principles, the documents we use to inspire us in the way we are going to work with Ensino Médio and the choice of material that we had. So first of all, I want to start with BNCC. Are you both familiar with BNCC? Yes? Good. So BNCC some years ago had a different view of English or a second language in school, and they recently changed it. And now the focus of English in school is to have a social function, and a political function as well. So in this way, the idea of working with English in the school is to work with English as lingua franca. So we are going to guide the way we use the language in terms of helping students to break boundaries, to know different cultures, to see different aspects of the language in terms of communication, because we are thinking about the global process. And then when we think about lingua franca, we have to understand what it is. So the term lingua franca is when we use a language for communication between two groups of peoples who speak a different language. So if we think nowadays, English is the language that we can use and listen and communicate around the globe. So if I go to China, I will find someone who can speak English. If I go to France, there will be someone who speaks English. So this is why we see it as a lingua franca. It's not only about speaking the language, but about communicating. Okay? Have you ever heard about lingua franca? Yes? Good, Isa. Veronica, too? Nice. So when BNCC looks at English and sees it as lingua franca, we change the idea of English in school. So before, some years ago, when I was in Ensino Médio, we saw English as a foreign language. So it was a choice. Some schools taught English in their regular curriculum, some schools not. And besides the school, if I wanted to learn English, it was my choice, my personal choice. I could, for example, to choose learn another language. When BNCC understands English as lingua franca, they understand that this is a citizen right to access. So they understand that I need the language to become a citizen. So it's not an option anymore. English is going to be part of the curriculum, and the schools need to have it and teach it properly. Besides the BNCC, something else that we use as a view of language is the CEFR. Have you ever heard about it? Yes? Good. Isa, can you tell us a little bit about what you understand from the CEFR?
It's a way of measuring someone's ability to communicate in a different language. So we have a chart, let's say, to use as a reference, which goes from A1, beginner, to C2, advanced. And in each one of these, the student needs to have different abilities. And when they reach C2, it means that they can communicate in basically any situation.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Veronica? Sorry.
Not really. I think it's complete, what she said.
Okay. Okay. So basically, what Isabella said is accurate. So the CFR is a group of scales or bands, 6 in fact, that we use to understand at which level the student is. So it goes from A1 to C2, A1, A2 being the beginners or what we consider beginners, B1, B2 intermediate, and C1, C2 advanced. The CFR also considers a pre-A1 level. Okay, so when we see an A1 student, we understand that the student has some kind of knowledge. Before that, zero knowledge is what we consider pre-A1. And the CFR is used as an international standard for language ability, to describe language ability. It provides a series of can-do statements. So thinking about our, yes, Bianca, do you have any question? Let me just see your message. Yes. Just a second, I'm opening your message. Okay, so you were just saying hello. Is that all right? Good. Hello, welcome to the meeting. Bianca, if you have any question, please just send us a message or turn on the mic. Okay. So as I was saying, the CFR is also used to help us when we are talking about certificates. So Cambridge also uses the CFR to level the tests and then base the exercises they are going to use in their exams for certification. Okay, it is important to know because we encourage students to take some of those certificates when they are studying. Our material in Infantil starts at a pre-A1 level, and then it goes from Infantil until UK2, which is the second grade of Fundamental 1. Then in UK3, third grade Fundamental 1, we start studying the A1 per se, and it goes until approximately the beginning of the sixth grade, Fundamental 2. And then we start with the A2, and they study A2 from the 6th, 7th, 8th grade when they start, and then they are going to start the B1, finish A2, start B1 when they are in the 9th grade. And then they go to Ensino Médio. And then in Ensino Médio, year 1, they finish B1, year 2, they study B2, and year 3, they end B2. This is what we expect that happens. In some cases, depending on the group of students, depending on the group of the teacher, or depending on the school, we can have some students or some groups that can start to have a knowledge that it belongs to C1. Okay, so it's important to have that in mind because our material is heavy. There is a lot of things there, a lot of vocabulary, a lot of grammar, and we need to be updated and we need to understand the language in order to help our students see different aspects of the language. Okay? So far, so good, girls. Would you like to ask anything? Yes, Veronica, please.
How many years do you consider to go from beginner to B2?
Considering that we start A1 in the third grade, they are around 8, 9 years old, and they should finish B2 when they are in the third year of Ensino Médio. So, come on, can anyone help me with the math? 10 years? Yes? Thank you, Veronica. So basically, that's what we expect, okay? But have that in mind. This is an expectation. This is what we want to happen, but it depends a lot on the students, on the teacher, and on the school, okay? Anything else? No? Okay. So just to show you a little bit of the can-do statements that I mentioned before, this is what we have. So Cambridge thinks or thought of some can-do statements for each level, considering the different abilities we have, okay? And it's important to have this kind of knowledge in mind because we can understand better how we can help our students to change from B1 to B2. So what are the differences, the characteristics? So just to give you an example, when a student is in B1 in terms of listening, they can understand the main points of a standard clear speech on familiar matters that they see frequently, like work, school, leisure. They can understand the main point of a TV program, for example, that is related to current affairs or professional interests. But when they go to B2, they start to understand a little more of abstract and complex language. So they can understand speech and lectures. They can follow complex arguments, especially related to familiar topics, but they start to understand a little more out of the topics that they are familiar with, and they can understand most of TV programs. So we can see that there is a level between one band and the another, okay? The same goes for reading, for speaking, and then speaking, we are going to consider spoken interaction and spoken production, okay? Because we need to understand how the student listens and how the student produces. Okay, so just to give you an example in terms of production, the student can connect phrases in B1, okay, in a simple way in order to describe experiences and events. Most of the times we are still talking about concrete topics or concrete aspects, but we start to have some abstract things like dreams, hopes. When we go to B2, they have to be better able to convey these abstract meanings. So they are going to be able to talk about um, uh, a bigger range of themes, not only about their fields of interest. They can explain viewpoints. So there is this shifting from one to another. And then we also have the can-do statements for writing, okay? You can find these very easily on the internet. There is the CFR website where you can find a spreadsheet with the descriptors for each characteristic, for each level. If you are curious about, I think that it helps a lot in terms of preparing the lessons and understanding exactly what we expect the students are supposed to do. Okay? Any questions? No? Good. So we talked about the NCC, we talked about the CFR, And we also have to mention an author that helped us shaping the way we are going to work with language in the classroom, which is Scott Thornbury. Have you ever heard about him? Yes, Veronica? Good. Isa?
On the last practice session we had in Cel.Lab at the beginning of the year, someone talked about him.
Good, good. So you know him, yes? He's a friend of ours, yes. So one of the things that Scott Thornbury contributed in the ELT world was the creation of the PPP. Are you familiar with the PPP method? Yes. Okay. So the three P's: present, practice, and production. We kind of used this as a way to create our triple A. Okay, so the idea is quite the same. The only thing that we changed is that when we consider the first P, the present, we thought that it was too much teacher-centered, and we decided to have a more student-centered view. So that's why we called the triple A, because we changed the first P to awareness raising, okay? And then we changed the second for appropriation and the third one for autonomy. So in the first level, the awareness raising, we want to expose students to the target language. We want them to observe and analyze and discover the language. So they are going to start to understand how the language works, and they will acknowledge the language. And then in the appropriation part, we are going to start the social interaction. However, the social interaction at this moment needs high assistance. So the teacher is going to be there to help the students more often. The regulation comes from another person, which is the teacher. There is a lot of scaffolding. So the teacher is going to help students start practicing the language little by little. There will be lots of repetition, and the practice is going to be controlled. Okay, so they are not going to be much free aspects of the language to work with. And then when it comes to the autonomy, which is the last A from the triple A, the social interaction is going to be more based in real life situations. So it's not so controlled anymore, it's more freer. There is help from the teacher, but it's not so much, because the intention is that the students have more autonomy while they are producing, and there is more self-regulation than regulation from another person. So we encourage students to be aware of what they are producing and to understand and see their mistakes and try to correct. Okay, so this is something very important to have in mind, because when we are working with language in the classroom, this is something you should focus on. Okay, you will see, talking to your consultant today, that we encourage teachers to have their own way to deal with language, doing things they believe that are more suitable for their groups, for their students, according to their needs and the views of learning from the school. But something we ask the teachers to be always aware is from these three steps. So always when you are dealing with language, vocabulary, or grammar, this is how you should work with. So you should have the awareness moment, you should have the appropriation moment, and the autonomy one. Okay? Is that clear, girls? Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Good. So let's talk about the material a little bit more. Okay, so those were the things that helped us to shape the material, to choose the material, to understand how to work with our groups. Of course, that we are talking about Ensino Médio. Ensino Médio, we have teenagers. There are lots of things to consider when we are talking to teenagers, but in general, those things were the ones that helped us, okay? In terms of material, what is going to happen? We don't have a material that is produced by us, okay? We took a material that was first published by Macmillan, which is Speak Your Mind. Have you ever heard about this book? I don't know, Isabelle that worked with Macmillan, do you know? I think that Isabelle is not here. I think that she's frozen. Okay. Anyway, continuing. So we asked Macmillan to adapt these materials to our needs. Okay. So when you see the material, you will see that the first book, the book from Ensino Médio, first grade, it starts on lesson 6. Okay, it's correct. There is no problem there. Okay, why? Because we start the collection Speak Your Mind from the 4th book, and this material is split in part A and part B, and we decided to start in part B. So that's why it starts on unit 6. Okay, we did that because according to what we have in decoding, which is the material we work in Fundamental 2, it made more sense to start in part B than in part 1, okay? The book works with the 8 systems, which are reading, writing, speaking, listening, pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and discourse, okay? Reading, writing, speaking, and listening being the abilities. We are going to work with the strategies, and then pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and discourse, more related to the language itself. Veronica, are you familiar with these 8 systems?
Yes, I am.
Good, good, very good. So you will find the material exercises to work with all of that, okay? We also have updated topics, videos, and audios. So you will decide what you can work with. So just from that, we understand that the book offers a lot, that you have a lot of content to work in the classroom. So it comes to the point that there will be a lot of decisions and choices that you have to make to decide which item or which kind of exercise you are going to work with. The ideal is that you have 2 classes per week. So let me ask you, how many classes do you have, Veronica?
2 per week, but only 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes, right?
50
Yes.
minutes, yes, 50
Yes.
minutes. Okay. And you, Isa?
We have four classes per week.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's amazing. Good. So you are going to have time to work with a lot of things, Isa. In your case, Veronica, the ideal is the material is ideal for your scenario. However, you may have to choose a little bit which aspect of the book you want to focus on. Okay?
Yes,
And
there is
then
no
we're
time. No time to cover it.
yes. Yeah, especially because if we consider 50 minutes, we never have 50 minutes in
Yeah,
a
that's it.
classroom.
Yeah,
Yes, so it's
because
always less.
they are two separate classes, so we waste a lot
Yeah,
of time calling
that's
the
it.
wall and that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So then we are going to discuss, we are going to work with a unit by the end of the session, and then we will see some possible ways that we can choose what we think we consider that is better to work with, since we don't have all the time necessary. Okay, in your case, Isa, I think that is going to be a little bit easier for you. Okay. And each book has 5 units. Each unit has 3 lessons and a unit review. Okay, so only looking at the quantity of units and lessons that we have, you already know that it's a lot. And this is just to illustrate the Speak Your Mind, which is the material from Macmillan, okay? And this is the Beyond Borders, that is our the cover we have for our material, okay? So basically, just the cover is different, the content is the same. We are going to check the platform, but in the platform, we don't have the student's book, the digital version of the student's book. So you will have access to the Macmillan platform, and you are going to access the book from the. If you want to access the digital book, you are going to do it from the Macmillan platform. And then when you open, you are going to see the Speak Your Mind material, not the Beyond Borders, but it's the same. Okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Eva, please.
How can we access the material on the Mac website?
I'm going to show you.
Like, what's the website? And
you have everything in our platform. I'm going to show you in some minutes how to do that. Okay, we are going to do it together, step by step. Okay, good. So before we do that, I just want to show you the books we have, because in fact we have 3 books. We have the Beyond Borders book, and we also have 2 booklets. One booklet that is focused on exams, the Cambridge exams, and another book that is focused on the Além. Okay, so the material, the book, the student's book we have, we can see here an example of the scope and sequence. And in the scope and sequence, you can find all the information you need in terms of what each unit has, the content each unit has. So you can see the videos we have when there are videos. You can see the grammar that is going to be studied, the functions, the language, everything. So I invite you, before starting preparing your lessons, to check the scope and sequence to understand exactly what kind of topics the students will see throughout the year. So as you are starting the 2nd semester, I assume that probably unit 6 and 7, or unit 1 and 2, it depends on the book, they are done. Probably students have started unit 8 or 3, or they are about to start, or maybe they have finished. But I encourage you to check all the scope and sequences so you can understand what they studied and what they are going to study. This is going to help you to make the decisions and to choose what is going to be better to work with in the classroom, okay? And also help you to follow the progress. They should have what we expect in terms of progress throughout the year until the end of the semester. It's not going to work for you at this semester, but this is something that you can consider for the following year. Each book starts with an analysis, a test that you can apply with the students, so you can understand what they already know in terms of language or not. This is very helpful, especially in the 1st grade, because normally in schools there are lots of new students, and as they are not, they may not have, they shouldn't have had worked with Cel.Lab material. They may get a little confused in how we work with the language or how much they know about the language. So when you apply this test, you can it can help you to understand what they know about the language or not. And then to see a complete unit, I'm going to show you, this is unit 1 from the second material. That's it, the second material, second grade, okay? So we start each unit by a picture that you can explore, you can work with the students. You can see by the title that we are talking about something very modern, very related to our society nowadays. There are some questions and some things you can work with students in order to present the unit. And then you can also see the video. You can work as a starter, okay? You can use the video or not. This is going to depend on you. Then we start.
The video is all, sorry.
No, please, Isa.
Is the video also on the Macmillan platform?
It is on the Macmillan platform, but the video is also in our platform. Okay, the videos and the audios that are in our platform.
I actually haven't taken the time to explore the platform regarding the high school material yet. That's why I'm saying that.
No, no worries, no worries. It's a genuine question. I'm going to show you exactly where they are and how you can find them. Okay. This is an example. This is the lesson 1 of unit 1, second grade. So the lessons, they work with different aspects in different orders. So for example, in this unit, we start the lesson 1 with a reading exercise. Okay, and after we have vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. And we finish lesson 1 with a speaking activity. So each lesson has 3 pages. Okay. In lesson 2, the format or the organization of the activities changed. We don't start with reading. We start with a listening exercise, and then we have something else from vocabulary to work, another grammar topic to deal with students, and then we have a writing practice. And then in lesson 3, we are going to work with life skills. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, all the units, they end in lesson 3 with an exercise focused on life skills. We have more vocabulary, and we also have something to work with thinking skills. Okay. And we finish lesson 3. This is going to always happen. Lesson 3 ends with the confident communicator part, which are in which you can find some exercises that are related to the ability of communicating. Okay, so you can work with these exercises in order to help your students to become better communicators, not in terms of language itself, but in terms of negotiating language, sharing information, how to work in group or in teams, for example. Okay, so more with a social characteristic than a linguistic one. Yes, and we finish the unit with a review that is a kind of test. You can do it or not, and we have the exam skills. So before we start the following unit, we are going to have the exam skills. In this case, we are working with speaking. In the other units, we have different abilities to work with, and the exercises, they focus on strategies related not only to the ability, but to the related also to the exams from Cambridge. Okay, so when you are working with this kind of exercises, you are helping your students to become more familiar with the exams from Cambridge. Okay, And then just to show you that for some units, not all units, we have another video. So basically, there are two kinds of videos. One that is always going to be in the beginning of the unit, and another one that is going to be at each two lessons. And the name of these videos is Skills for Pros. And they are the concept, the idea of those videos is to work with aspects related to the professional life. So they are going to learn how to have a presentation, how to prepare a presentation, how to have a meeting, how to search for information. So there are different abilities that are going to be developed in these videos. Again, this is going to be part of your choice to use it or not. You don't need to use all the videos, but maybe some of them are going to be good for you. Okay? And by the end of the book, we have more speaking practices, and we have a list of the irregular verbs and the pronunciation symbols. And to finish everything, you have the grammar review. Okay, so this is the end of the student's book. So far, so good. Yes, Veronica, please.
For some reason, I couldn't find this part, grammar review, in the speak your mind, or speak up, the book. What's the name of the book?
Speak your mind.
Speak your mind. Yeah, I have read the rest, but I couldn't find this part, grammar review. Is there a reason? It's taken from another book, probably, or?
No, now I will have to check that information for you, Veronica. I will have to go to the Macmillan platform, check it for you, and then confirm if this is something that it is in the material, but maybe in another part of the material, or if this specific part was inserted in the book for Cel.Lab.
Because I went through the whole book and I couldn't find it.
I just need to check. It's been a while that I haven't used the platform, so I will check that for you. And then, or I'll tell you today, or I will send the information to your consultant, and then your consultant talks to you.
Thank you.
Okay? You're welcome. You're welcome. Good. And then let's check the platform. Okay? So this is the view of the platform. We are going to have the openers, the videos that open each unit, and we have the skills for pros. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the screen, the presentation, and I'm going to start sharing the platform with you because I want to show you how the platform works. So just give me a second. Good. Can you see the platform? Yes? Good. So my platform is a little bit different from yours, but not much. So how you are going to find all the material? Here on the left of the page, you will find Ensino Médio. Click on it. Oh, thank you very much. So continuing, okay? It already opened the Ensino Médio that we have. You will, it's just a little bit here. Good. You have to search for Beyond Borders. Here is where you are going to find the material. And then you have it separate from Ensino Médio first grade, second, and third. Let's use the first one. And here you can click and find the audios, the RTNs, which are our teacher's book per se. We have the booklet that I'm going to show you. In this case, is the booklet for exams. And you can find the videos, okay? So if you click on the audios, you can find all of them here, okay? If you click on the RTNs, you can check all the suggestions we give you in terms of how to work with different parts of the book. And to answer Isa's question, when you open the RTNs, you can find the address, the address, sorry, and the login and password for the Macmillan platform. Okay, so you just click on the link. It's going to open the Macmillan platform, and then you can just use the login and the password, and you already have access to the digital material. Okay. As I told you, we are going to see it in a little more detail, but you can have the booklet, okay? All the booklet that the students have physical that you are going to have as well, but you have it here, digital, and you have the videos, okay? So the first page is the openers, and then if you go to the skill for pros, you find the videos for this part of the book. Okay? In terms of platform where you can find the material, our platform, is it okay for you? Veronica, Isa, do you have any questions? No? Okay. In terms of the Macmillan platform, okay, so as I told you, you click on the link, type the login, type the password, and this is the first page you are going to see. You will click on Speaker Mind, and then you have level 4 and level 5. The second part of level 4 is Ensino Médio first grade, and level 5, the first part Ensino Médio second grade, and the second part Ensino Médio third grade, okay? And then you can find the material here in the Teachers Resource Center. Or not? You can find, sorry, not the book, but you can find the audios and the videos here, okay? And there are some other things. You have some communicative activities, reading worksheets that you can explore, and if you think that is suitable, use with your students. And when you click here in the Macmillan app, you can decide, you can choose to download the app and then you can use it offline, or you can use here in the web. So this is the Speak Your Mind platform. Here you have the student's book, the workbook that we don't work with, but you may, I don't know, decide to use it to, you can use it to find some exercises, for example, to put in your tests. They can help you. And then in the student's book, it's where you are going to find the digital material. Okay? Any question, girls? No? Okay, so let me come back to...
Could you, I finally solved the problem here. Could you recap a little bit, because I really don't know how to access the material.
Okay, there is no problem. I will do it again. Let me just share it with you again. Can you see Eva?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So Eva, again, you will start, you will enter in our platform, okay? Find Ensino Médio, and then you open here on Beyond Borders. This is where you're going to find the material. It is divided according to the different grades. And just to show you, you are going to find this in all of them. In one part, you have the audios, the RTNs, that this is our teacher's guide. You have the booklet, that in this case is the exam, the booklet for the Cambridge exams, and you can find the videos, okay?
Okay.
When you open the RTNs, in the first page, you have the address for the Macmillan platform, and you already have the login and the password. You go to the website, type this information, and then they are going to it's going to open the platform from Macmillan. Okay.
All right.
You are going to start here in Speak Your Mind, and then you are going to select the book you want. Level 4 is corresponding to Ensino Médio first grade, and level 5 Ensino Médio second and third grade. And then you have the Teacher's Resource Center, where you can find the audios and the videos as well, and the Macmillan Education app. That is where you are going to find the app, or to download or to navigate in the internet. And then here you can find the student's book and the workbook, okay? And then also the teacher-centered. And as I was saying, I don't know if you heard, but you can use maybe some of the exercises from the workbook to have some, use the exercise to build your test for the students, for example, okay? There are lots of things here that you can use, because as the material is the same, you can complete what you already have, okay? So where we were. So let's start talking about the booklets a little bit, okay? So as I told you, we have two booklets, the study guide exam, which is focused on the Cambridge exams, and the booklet for the Enem. This booklet, the study guide exam, you will have one for each grade. So one for the first, one for the second, one for the third. The Enem booklet is only available for the third grade. Okay, so the first and the second grades, if you want to work with Enem, with them, you have to use the platform, the Cel.Lab, that I'm going to show you, right? In the booklet, you will find all the sessions that the students can work with. These sessions are the same sessions you will find in Cel.Lab. And you also have some information explaining how the exams work. In this case, as we are talking about the first grade, we are talking about B1 preliminary. Okay, so you have all the characteristics of the exam, the number of papers, how many parts each paper has, and a little bit of what is required in each of these parts. Then you can see some examples of the exam and the exercises we are going to have in the platform and in the booklet. You have the time for the test and what is required in each part of each exam. In this case, we are checking the listening part. In the booklet, you also find the writing, reading, and speaking part. And the listening starts this way. You will also have some quick tips to work with the exercises. And some of these exercises, like this one, can only be done in the platform. You have the example of the exercise here, but if you want to work with this one, you have to use the platform. Some other exercises you can work in the platform or in the booklet. So you have the exercise in the booklet as well. And then you have some general tips for each of the abilities. And then we start talking about the study guide and name. As I told you, this booklet is only for the 3rd grade. And this is going to be very similar to what we have to the study guide exam. You have the sessions, you have the content. And when we are talking about the exercises specifically, we have the questions, exactly as we work in A. So we have the tests in English, the questions in Portuguese. And then you are going to have the answers, okay? And in the booklet and in the platform as well, you will find not only the correct answer, but also an explanation why this is the correct answer, okay? So you can help your students understand why their choices were correct or not. And then let me show you Cel.Lab. So let me stop sharing again, and let's go to the platform as well. Sorry. Good. Here in the platform on the left as well, you will find Cel.Lab. Okay, you will click on Cel.Lab, enter with your login and password. And then you go to the menu. And then you will search for Ensino Médio. Okay, so here is where you are going to find the platforms. As I told you, there is a platform for NA for 1st and 2nd grade. They only don't have the booklet. Okay, and then you have the platform as well for the exams from Cambridge. So I'm going to show you one from Cambridge. Okay, in session 1, you will have an explanation. There is a video and some information about how the exam works. And then we start with the sessions per se in session 2 with the listening paper. So the same way we have in the platform. The first part is the listening. So first you have some tips, you have examples of an example of the exercise. You are going to listen and you have to complete the exercise. Then we have a video that is helping us with some tips related to the exam and the exercise, and then you do the exercise. And then you continue practicing with the exercise. Something important is, let me see by the end if I can show you. So we finished session 2. That's it. Something that is interesting for you as teachers and for students is that on the platform, you can see how many points were earned in each exercise. So the students will only have completed each session when they have points earned. If they don't have points earned, it means they didn't do the exercises, okay? And then the platform is also going to show the progress based on that, okay? So far, so good, girls. I don't know if Aziz is here.
Yes, now it's all right. Yes.
Okay, good. You cannot go from here. Okay. And then DNA platform going to work the same way. Okay, so the first session you are going to have the exams going to be presented, and then you have in session 2 some exercises. Okay, the same way that is going to be in the booklet. So you have the text in English, the questions in Portuguese. Oops, I think that it was too much. No, it's okay. And then again, you can check how many points were earned, how many activities are completed or not. And just to show you, you can also see the points earned and the points available for all sessions here. Okay? Let me just... Good. Questions, girls, so far? No?
No, everything
okay?
all right.
Beautiful. The platforms are easy to use. You will see that you just need some practice, but everything is really easy to find, how to work with the students, and both platforms from ENEM and from the Cambridge exam are very helpful. They really help students getting prepared for these tests. Okay. Well, in terms of, as you can see, we have lots of material. There is a student's book. There are the 2 booklets. You have the Cel.Lab platform. In the Macmillan platform, you also can find a lot of things that are audios, that are videos. Okay, so how can we work with all of these? Well, first of all, you have to check the quantity of classes you have, how many minutes per week, and then you are going to start deciding what you want to focus on. And you are also add the information related about your group of students. Okay, what they need, which kind of strategies they have to develop, or what kind of language they need. And then you can decide if you are just going to use the student's book or if you are going to use the student's book and the booklet, and how you are going to work. In case you decide to use just the student's book in the classroom and maybe some exercises from Cel.Lab as homework, you can use the texts from the booklets that are not used in the exercise of the platform to write your tests. Or you can use some of the exercises you have in the workbook in the platform from Macmillan. And something important that you have to keep in mind is the exams prepare, the booklet and the platform for Cambridge, they prepare for the exams. So the first grade, we are talking about the old PET, which is now B1 preliminary, and the old FCE for 2nd and 3rd grade, which is now the B2 first, okay? The exams we have in the platform and also booklet, they are based on real exams. So when you are preparing with them, you are preparing the students to work with the real exams. So if by the end of of Ensino Médio, or at any moment of it, they decided to apply for one of these exams, they will be prepared according to what you worked in the classroom. Okay? And the ENEM preparatory course, the booklet for the 3rd grade and the platform, it's also very helpful in terms of preparing the students for the ENEM exam. The exercises are based on real activities from the first years. Okay, so you can see the references in the platform and in the booklet. Okay, girls, I talked a lot, so let me ask you, do you have any questions?
Yes, for like bi-monthly tests, is there anything we could use, or do you think we could use the exercises, the the preparation for the Cambridge exam and in, is there anything other than those materials to use to prepare their bi-monthly tests?
I think that besides the option of using the booklets, is you also can use the Macmillan platform. So you can check the workbook because they don't have a workbook. So you can use the workbook from Macmillan to see if there is an exercise that is suitable to apply to the students in a test. And in the Macmillan platform, there is also the test generator. So there are some exercises that you can copy from that and build your own test. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Veronica, I think you were going to ask a question?
No.
No? Okay. So, girls, what do you think about having maybe a 10-minute break to go to the toilet, drink some water or coffee, and then we come back? Yes?
Yes,
Good.
it would
Then
be great.
Nice. And then we come back with a more practical part.
Okay.
So, yeah. Wonderful. So, what I want us to do now is to have a more practical part. I want us to, not just a way of knowing the material, but understanding how we can work with it in the classroom and how we can guide our choices. Okay. So first of all, I will share with you some important questions that I think we should have in mind when preparing a lesson, any lesson for any kind of group, which are, what is the main goal of my lesson? So I need to know that what I want, what is my objective, what I want to achieve by the end of the lesson. So by the end of the lesson, I want my students to be able to. So this is what is going to guide all the choices I will make in terms of exercises and practices. And knowing the goal of my lesson, I will decide what are the possible stages of the lesson I want to give. So do I need a lead-in moment? Or maybe I choose, I should change the lead-in for a warm-up. So knowing the objective, I will understand what kind of stages of the lesson I will need. Then, based on the objective and on the stages of the lesson, I can decide exactly what kind of materials and resources I'm going to use. So I will use only the student's book, or maybe I want to have a practice in the Cel.Lab in the classroom, because I can use the Cel.Lab in the classroom as well. I don't know if your students can use a computer, can have a computer to use or a tablet in the classroom. If they can't, there are some exercises that you can project to students and you can practice with all of them at the same time. Okay. What problems may I find in the lesson I am preparing? So then I can start thinking about some of the solutions I can have for this problem. So if they happen, I know what I have to do. What will be the patterns of interaction that I want my students to have? So I know that in most of our contexts, it's very difficult to work with pairs or groups because we have lots of students. But sometimes we need to try to use this strategy. We need to try to change the patterns of interaction. They cannot only work individually or the whole group with the teacher. Okay, so and in this material, there are lots of things that you can have as discussions in group. How I will work with the pattern interaction and how long will each activity take. Okay, so what I want to do now is I will stop sharing the presentation again. And I will open in the Macmillan platform with you in the first book, the book from the first grade, okay? And we are going to check one of the units, which is Unit 8, which the topic is future innovations. So for this moment of the session, I don't know, can you see, can you read the page, or is it too small?
It's really small, Fabi.
Is it small?
Yes.
So
I think you could zoom in just a little bit.
Yes,
I will do that.
but
That's what I'm going to do. I just wanted to take a look at the picture, okay? Because this is helpful. And then I'm going to zoom. Here it is, okay? So can you read now? Yes? So I want you to, considering the picture, the title of the unity, I want you to read the suggestions from the material, or the questions, the kind of activities we have. And I want you to make some notes about how you would work with this in your classroom. Would you use this opener? Yes or no? How would you use it? Or no, maybe I would prefer to use the video. You have the title of the video. You have some of the things that you can do with the video here. The video is related to the topic, as a starter, okay? So I don't want to use the page. I don't want to use these activities. I want to use the video. How I would use the video. So I want you to think of this, make some notes. I will give you 5 minutes, and then we are going to open for some discussion. Is it okay, girls?
Yes.
Yes? So let's go. 5 minutes. If you finished first, you let me know.
I think for some students, the question, what are the positive effects of modern technology, you know, maybe a little bit vague, because they may not have an example in mind. Like, what is a modern technology example, you know? So I think it would be interesting to bring examples, maybe pictures of, I don't know, those translating earbuds. I don't know, that's what came to my mind now. Something, or something that is a part of their reality already.
Okay.
And then work from that.
Okay.
I think this warm up can be used, but we have to like complement the questions, you know, the assignment. What do you think?
Okay, so maybe you change it a little bit in terms of using the same ideas, but not necessarily these questions and the page, these pages. You would use something different to guide the conversation.
Yes, I would just bring some more resource, but I would do as the book says.
Okay, and would you use the video, Isa?
Well, it would depend on the time, actually. How much time, if I'm being able to do the exercises. If I'm following the schedule and I have time left, then yes. But if I don't have time, then no.
Okay. And you, Veronica, did you have time to think about any kind of activity?
Well, my problem is time restriction. And also two completely different levels of English in my classes. So I have to choose. I can do it. I could do it. I would love to do it as Bianca is. Oh, sorry. What's your name? Isabel. As Isa said, it's a modern technology. It could be modern for us, but for them is the daily life technology. But I could compare it to, let's say, South Korea or some other countries, like they use technology for everything. So maybe that could be interesting. But the first question that we had in mind was to what is the purpose of the lesson, and I don't think this is gonna be directly related to my objective, my goal, my main goal. So probably I'm not gonna use it. Not going to use it.
Okay. Would you try using the video or not? You would do something completely different.
Completely different.
Okay. Okay. Good. We are going to continue to do the same kind of exercise with the whole unit. And when we finish, I'm going to bring you some suggestions of how I thought working with the unit. And then you can add comments and think, we can see that if my idea was similar to yours or not, or if you could add something. Okay? So we opened the unit and then we have the first lesson. Let me do one thing here. I cannot do that. No. So let me zoom a little bit. So let me show you a little bit of the lesson. We start the lesson with a reading exercise. Okay, so we have a pre-reading exercise, and then a reading for gist, and then this is what we have. We have a post-reading exercise here. Okay. Sorry, we have a kind of mixed, but we could use the questions as a post-reading exercise, and then we have a reading for specific information. Then we have a vocabulary exercise that is focused on phrasal prepositional verbs. And then we start the grammar topic, which is related to relative clauses. On the next page, we are going to have some exercises to practice. So again, if you need some minutes to think of how you could work with those things, if you don't need the time, you can start telling us your ideas. If you need me to zoom anything, just let me know.
Sorry, we have to prepare a lesson, like prepare part of a lesson on how.
You have to just think how you could do that, Isa. You don't need to prepare a lesson with details or anything. I just want us to have an exercise in which you can see the things and make decisions. How you could work with those things? Would you work with all the exercises from the page? Would you select some things? Would you change or bring something extra to help you practicing a specific topic?
So is it about the vocabulary part?
All of the parts: reading, vocabulary, and grammar.
Okay. I would have them do exercise letter C And then
Okay.
tell me what kind of relative clause is that, if it's a defining or non-defining, and why. So they would be investigating their answers, like reflecting on their practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Okay.
would also bring some extra practice, like have them maybe into groups, and then project some extra pairs of sentences so they could use a relative clause and put them together, and then
Mm-hmm.
have maybe gamify this, like the group that finishes first is the winner, and then when they're finished, we check answers and see if they combine the pairs of sentences correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think something like that to make them more motivated once they really like competitions.
Okay, good. And about the pronunciation and the speaking parties, would you work with them?
I think so, yes. I think it's important as well, because sometimes they're not familiarized with like intonation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they can read and understand what's there, but not communicate accurately. So I think that's important. And also the speaking part. Let me take a moment to take a look at it.
Of course. Veronica, while Isa thinks, would you like to share your ideas?
The pronunciation part, definitely, yes, I would use it. Yes, and I would make them repeat a few
Mm-hmm.
times. The speaking part, I'm thinking about it because for them to give suggestions to engineers, it sounds a little bit like too much. But as my main goal is for them to practice phrasal prepositional verbs, I would focus on that, on the
Mm-hmm.
usage of that. Maybe not to give advices, but to use them in a daily basis communication.
Okay. Okay. Good. Isa, could you think about the speaking?
The only thing I could think about was we need to help them organize their ideas so they can express themselves, give their opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe, I don't know, for weaker groups, give them already a list of negative social effects
Mm-hmm.
mixed with positive effects, and then have them say, oh, have them say which are the negative ones.
Mm-hmm.
um and for stronger groups, I guess, give them like beginnings of sentences that could represent negative effects,
Mm-hmm.
and have them thinking of ways to complete them. I think those would be nice ways of having them organizing their ideas.
Okay. Okay. Good. Uh, Let me share with you what I thought uh, to do for this first, for the opener and for the first part, for the first lesson. Okay. I think you had very good ideas. Again, I liked that Veronica tried to think of the time constraints that she has in terms of classrooms, right? That she doesn't have much time, two classes of uh, 50 minutes that we know that are never 50 minutes, right? And I think that I like that Isabella tried to explore a little more because she has four classes per week. So definitely we have more time to work with the material. Um, And some of your ideas are very good. I like when we start thinking about more than the book only. So you suggested, both of you suggested some ideas that are not in the book to bring something else. Okay, the book is a guide, and we can expand on that if we have the time, if it's possible for us. Okay, it also, of course, it depends on what the school thinks of how our class should be. Again, the time, the group of students. But I like that you tried to explore these options. So for the units, the opener, I decided not to work with the video. I think that in this case, the video wouldn't help much. So the first thing I would like to do with the students is to explore the picture, to see what they have to say in order to raise their awareness about the topic. So how much they know about technology, about future innovations. As Veronica said, they may think of some kind of modern technology that we cannot, so we can understand what they see about the topic, if it's in this align with our views or not. Um, Maybe work with some emergent language to teach them some vocabulary already related to the topic, because this could help them to work with the rest of the unit. And I would use the first sentence offered by the book, if I'm not mistaken, is in exercise 2 or exercise B. Modern technology has more negative effects than positive effects. And I would try to have a discussion to see their opinions, because I believe that teenager students have a lot to say. And I know that time is important. It's something that we should take into account while we are having our classes, preparing our lessons. However, we should listen to our students, and based on what they have to say, they may learn much more than only working with a specific exercise. So I think that we could have a great moment of discussion there and understand what they think about technology. And this also can guide us for future, for preparing maybe lesson 2, lesson 3, what are their interests are. So do they want to talk about this topic? How much? So what kind of exercises I can bring based on the topic? Okay. For lesson 1, yes, Veronica, please.
You wouldn't use the video because of the time, or is there any other reason?
Because I don't think that it would add too much for the discussion. I think I would prefer to have students speaking and sharing their opinions, working with emergent language, than in this case showing the video. Because I think that technology is a topic that they may want to talk about, but they may not want to talk about. So I would use this first discussion to understand what they think about the topic in order to guide the rest of my approach to the unit. So I think that only the video wouldn't add much. For this unit, okay, for other units, I would definitely use the video. Okay. For lesson 1, what I would do is I would work with reading and vocabulary together, because in the first exercise, the sentences we have to help them noticing the phrasal prepositional verbs are from the text. So I would ask them to read the text and do the exercise at the same time. So they would read the text, find the sentences, and when they find the examples of phrasal prepositional verbs, they would have to try to understand the meaning of the phrasal verb and then try to select the correct answer. And then after, while I would check the answers, I would explore the phrasal verbs a little bit more, and I would already bring the pronunciation aspects. So because the pronunciation topic is dealing with the stress in this example of phrasal verbs when we have a three-particle phrasal verb. So I would already work with the pronunciation aspect on this part, okay? And then I would choose not to work with the grammar part, because I think that, and this is something that you should also have in mind, if I'm not mistaken, they already worked with relative clauses in Fundamental 2. So this topic is not so new to them, and I think that this is not a complicated, difficult topic for them. I think that this is kind of intuitive as they start knowing a little bit more of the language. So I would skip this grammar topic, and then I would offer some extra exercises to practice the lexical items that we studied. And then I would prepare 2 extra exercises. I could have both of them or maybe one of them, and then I would decide which one. The first one is a little more controlled. The last one is a little less controlled. And then we could emphasize the use of the phrasal verbs through the exercises. And then for the last part of the lesson, the last page, as I told you, the pronunciation I probably would have worked before. Sorry, just consider this listening part here, because we are still talking about lesson 1. And I would use the speaking part as well, okay? Because in the speaking part, they are going to have a chance of practicing more of these phrasal verbs. So I would choose for this first lesson to focus on the vocabulary lexical aspect of the lesson. I want to do this kind of exercise with you again, but we are going to do the following. We are going to skip lesson 2, okay? And I want us to work with lesson 3, because lesson 3 brings some different things to consider. We have the life skills that is going to work with inquiry. We have a little more vocabulary here. Then we have the thinking skill focused on speculating, okay? And for the third page of the lesson, we are going the confident communicator. So I want us to work with lesson 3, because I believe that these kind of things, life skills, thinking skills, confident communicator, these are things that not usually are in our lessons. So I would to hear from you, how would you bring these activities to your classes or not? You may decide not to work with life skills or thinking skills, for example. So I will give you some time to analyze the whole lesson, okay? So some minutes to analyze the first 2 pages, then I will change to the third page, and then I want to hear from you. Okay, so 1 minute to check the first 2 pages. Can I go to the third page? Yes? So here it is, the confident communicator. Can you share some of the ideas? If you need, I can come back to the first to the other two pages. Can you start, Veronica?
Oh, sorry, my mic was on. About the previous page.
Let me change it. Back there. Okay.
Well, I think the topic is extremely, for me, interesting. Maybe, I hope it's also for them. But for the group that already speaks English, they could do it without any problem, I think. So it's very interesting because the exercise is like write 2 questions that you have about each innovation. So they could ask the question and go and search for the answer. So they could ask the question and the answer after they write the question, and they share. Then they share question and answer. And for the group that doesn't speak the language, I could provide maybe a few questions and make them choose between a few of them which one they would like to answer, and they could look for the answer also on their phones. If they don't have a phone, some of them don't, we could work in pairs, to complete this exercise.
Okay. And you, Isa, what do you think? Would you work with all the exercises, or would you choose any of them as Veronica did?
I think I would choose some. I think I would choose the ones that, you know, they need to write, because to be honest, I was thinking about the part where parents complain about, you know, blank books. So I would actually focus on that. So I would do the life skills, definitely. But also vocabulary part, physical actions. This is very interesting because that's how they learn how to think in English and not just translate everything. So I think this is very important, and it's a cue for us to like incentivize them to, when they don't know a word, look into the word, but look at the definition in English. You know, go to Cambridge Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, not just seek for the translation at Google Translator, you know. And then I think, let me see. Yeah, and also the thinking skill part is important. But I think from this part is the least important session. Because it's nice to, it's a mental exercise to speculate, right?
Yeah.
It's it's even a reading strategy. So this is nice, but I think from these 2 pages, it's the least important one.
Okay, interesting. What about the confident communicator? Would you work with that, girls?
I would, because it's text interpretation. Like it's also similar to like a Cambridge test, I think, because they have to grasp the main idea of the texts, or maybe scan specific information to complete the sentence. But only letter C from this part, from confident communicator part, is not so important, because, you know, it's poetic language. Like, it's nice, it's interesting, but not so relevant, you know?
Okay, okay. And you, Veronica, would you use this part as well?
Letter C, I wouldn't do it in groups. I don't think you really need help to complete that one.
Mm-hmm.
But the dialogue, I'm thinking about it. The problem that I have is not that there's people that don't understand the language. The problem that I have is that I have people that speak and people that don't speak in the same room. That is my
Uh-huh.
problem. And if they were like silent and patient, that wouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have had two classes. I remember I was teaching something for the Navy, and but they were adults,
Mm-hmm.
so it was really easy to make two groups and to help them help each other, and that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But with teenagers, that doesn't work. They are too noisy. So if I'm trying to explain something to a group and then the rest, you know, is not interested and they don't follow the instructions as are in the book.
Okay.
Maybe even for the people that speak English, the instruction is there. You just have to read it and follow the instruction, but they don't. They don't
Mm-hmm.
read, they don't follow. They're waiting for me to, you see, but they understand what they have to do. I mean, like it's
Mm-hmm.
ABC, it's easy, but that is my problem. So I have to try to do all at the same time and fast because they lose. They yeah, as we said, as we mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before.
I
So
also have, I,
Yes.
oh,
sorry, can finish first, Veronica, then I say it.
yeah. So every time I see an exercise, I picture in my mind how am I going to do it like on Monday, and
Mm-hmm.
I have 30 people on the other side, and I want all of them to be interested, all of them to learn something new every class, all
Mm-hmm.
of them to be engaged and to be happy and
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy the class and at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit difficult sometimes.
Yes, I understand, Veronica. Isa.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I have some of the same problems regarding having students who speak
Mm-hmm.
and they can actually make complete sentences, you know,
Mm-hmm.
coherent sentences. Uh, and I have students who don't speak, maybe understand but don't speak, and it's hard to um I don't know. In English, I think maybe I could say, I, I don't know if I could say that, but reach all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think it's partly because some students they don't want to think about the things they're doing. What they know, okay, they use what they know, but what they don't know, they don't like to think because everything's so automatic now,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you have like exercises like, oh, discuss about no 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 no, they don't want to discuss. You ask them a question and only the same students will answer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem in this exercise letter C from confident communicator part.
Mm-hmm.
um like, or B and C, like it's the type of exercise that if you put them in groups, maybe the stronger students they will do it and the others will just copy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a problem, right? And
Uh-huh.
I still haven't figured how to have them fully motivated into actually thinking about the answers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that considering everything you said, this is one of the reasons I would use the opener of the unit as a means of understanding what they really know about the topic, how much they like the topic, what if they want to discuss, maybe understand what exactly they want to discuss about the topic or not, because then I could guide the other the planning of the other lessons in a way of directing to something they like. Second, when we are thinking about patterns of interaction, maybe these kind of activities are not so good for groups. Maybe they are good to be worked in pairs. And then you can choose the pairs, and you may choose, I don't know, you may decide to choose one person who likes to speak more and another one who doesn't. And then maybe this person is going to make the other one speak as well. Or you can try to put two people that don't speak, and uh, you know, being around them and encourage them to speak, to say the sentences. But what I can usually see as something that really helps them is the when we offer them some language for speaking, because sometimes we put them to speak, but they don't know how to start the sentences, especially those who are not so familiar with the language. And then if we don't offer something for them to start speaking, they are not going to start because they will be afraid of being incorrect, and maybe the other people from the group laugh at them. So I would give them some sentences, like start a sentence with, I believe that in number one, the answer is because, and then you can model some examples to them, and then board the examples, leave the examples on the board, so if they have questions they can check and try to rephrase their sentences if they are not so confident. These kind of things can help. Something else that can help a lot is, which I usually think that is the most difficult part, which is understanding teenagers. Because we usually don't understand teenagers, and although we may like to work with them, but we don't want to understand them. We don't know if we treat, sometimes it's not that we don't know. Sometimes we treat them as children, but sometimes we treat them as adults, but we never treat them as teenagers because we don't understand what is to be a teenager. All of us were teenagers some time ago, or maybe a long time ago in my case, but we forget how we acted, and we forget that most of the things they do nowadays, we did when we were teenagers. We are just living different times, and we need to adapt the time as well. And regarding to that, I will sell refresher session in August 21st, that is going to be about adolescents. So we are going to talk a little bit about their behavior, about how their brain works. And I think that this is very helpful to understand how to connect, how uh, to understand what they want. Because once we understand what they want and how they behave, from my experience, it's easier to have some of those things happening in class, and our work is easier and they learn more. Okay. I don't know if it was very helpful, all the things I said. I know that these are things that we have to study more, to read more. Sometimes we don't have the time. Some of the strategies I talked to you, again, you can ask to João when you are having your sessions with him, and I'm sure that he's going to be more than happy to help you. But I believe that these are some of the things you can consider while you are preparing your lessons. Does it make sense, girls? Isa. Sorry,
Yes.
Veronica. Isa is going to is going first. Yes, Isa.
Yes, they make a lot of sense. Thank you. I've talked to João already about it. He gave me some very nice tips, but the more strategies the more suggestions, the better, right?
Yes,
And
of course.
you mentioned it's very hard to get inside a teenager's head, and I think it's it's hard, and also it's hard in terms of we are teachers and we love English, but they don't, and it's very hard for us to understand that. It's
Yes.
very hard for us to think what else other than the language itself could make them interested. This is what I find hard, and some things they come so easy for us, some things are so obvious, so intuitive, but for them, no. So that's what I think.
Yeah, yeah, and you are more than correct because, and this is something related to our expectations as well, that we need to align them to the reality. So, as you mentioned, Isa, we love the language. We want to speak the language. We want to teach, and we want everybody to learn. But some people don't want to. Some people don't like, and we need to consider they are in their complete right of not wanting or not liking, and we have to understand how to work with them and help them to, I don't know, maybe change their minds a little bit, or at least learn something from what we can offer to them, because I think that if they learned one or two things, it's better than nothing. So I think that there are lots of layers to understand. This is not black and white. It's 50 shades of gray, right? So there are a lot of things to take into account. Ve, you were going to say something.
Yes, as Lisa said, it's important to listen to options, and João has been really helpful to me because he says, so this was great, and you could also try this one and that one, and those are really good ideas. So yes, I'm gonna I'm gonna try. I was thinking that for me, I think it would be really helpful if I had a glossary, a complete glossary in my book, because for those I could do this with a glossary. I could do this exercise, the read the dialogue. I could do it, and I would
Mhm.
say, let's take a few minutes to read the dialogue. I mean, completely silent. I'm gonna need you to be silent because we're gonna read the dialogue, and
Mhm.
for those who oh, there are a few words missing, they can go to the glossary. And for those who don't speak English, okay, go to the glossary and you are going to find the answers too.
Mhm.
So at the end of the year, I could say, okay, this is your book and you should master the glossary, because the
Mhm.
idea of the exercises is to for you to expand your vocabulary,
Mhm.
chunks and whatever. And so that will be for me a really because you know that when you're doing the exercise, sometimes you have like 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you lose everything if you miss. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just
Yeah.
like it's magic. As you said, they are teenagers, not not uh, not small kids, but I am trying to apply the techniques for kids. And at the same time, they are teenagers, and I have in mind that that particular girl can stand the other one, so they cannot work together. So I have to make a group without the two of them together. Because then I'm
Teenager
gonna have
being teenager.
then I'm gonna have a bigger problem than English. So
Yeah.
so but I just wanted to say that a glossary would be really
Mhm.
helpful and would avoid a lot of Portuguese in the classroom, because
Mhm.
I will be able to say, go to page 94. That's the answer you're looking for,
Mhm.
and that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I think the idea of the glossary is very good, Veronica. But I have two things in mind. First of all, it would be impossible for us to have a glossary that is good enough for all the groups and all the schools we work with. So there would always be something missing. Second, I know that it's gonna take much of your time, but I think that the best exercise in order to have a glossary is you creating the glossary with your students. So you teaching them to have, I don't know, maybe one is not enough, maybe 2 or 3 pages by the end of their notebooks in which they make notes there about the words that are important to them, that they don't understand, and that they want to know. And then if you consider this during the time you are planning your lessons, you may sacrifice like one exercise that is not so important, so relevant to them, in order to help them having this glossary. And again, consistency. If you do that like for 1 or 2 months, every class, by the end of the year, they will be extremely used to that, and it's going to be faster and it's going to be automatic, and we can help them to have a little more independence in terms of their own learning, that they don't need to receive everything from someone else, but that they are responsible for what they are learning. And then they can choose what they want to learn. This is giving them a voice, and teenagers love to have a voice. It doesn't seem, but they love to have a voice. They want to have, they want to adults to listen to them, and this is a way of having that. So you may consider this possibility, this kind of exercise, teaching them how to choose the pages, how to organize the words, what they are going to do, if they are going to search for the words by themselves, and then you can teach them how to use a dictionary, or if you are going to give them the meaning and they are just going to write down. There are lots of ways of doing that, but I think that it would be a wonderful idea for your students. Although I know that it's, again, these are the choices and decisions that we have to make in the classroom. Unfortunately, we cannot have everything, right?
Yeah, but why a school would complain about a glossary? I mean, a specific glossary. Let's say Beyond Borders 2. There are a
Hmm.
specific set of words that are used in the book. It's not the same as Beyond Borders 3. It's a different content.
Yeah.
So I mean, as a glossary for that book, one for Beyond Borders 1, one for Beyond Borders 2, for the words that are used in that specific. It's not something that you can complain about. It's information, extra information. If you don't want to use it, to use it.
But again, try to have this with them. I think that they are going to like much more than just having a page to refer to when they have questions. The sense of co-creation is going to increase their willingness to search for, to use the words, to use the glossary, more than if they just have the page and check that by the end of the book. Try to do an exercise like this sometime. I think that you could be surprised. Okay, and then if not, ask João to send me my number, and then we can exchange messages and talk if necessary. Okay, girls, let me just tell you what I have thought about. My computer slow down. Oh, here, lesson 3. Okay, so only to share the ideas I had, I would work with everything because I think that this lesson 3 is extremely relevant to our students. So I would work with the life skills, the thinking skills, the vocabulary, exactly the way they are in the material. Okay. The only thing that I would choose, I would adapt a little bit, is the thinking skills part, because I think that they may find this product not so relevant to their context. So I would try to find something more relevant, or while I'm teaching the other part, the other lessons from the unit, I would check if there is something that calls them more their attention, and then I would choose that to work with the idea of speculating, because as Isa said, this is not an important thinking skill, but they are going to use this skill when they are reading, when they are listening. So I think that it's a good thing to develop on them. And I would also do the confident communicator as it is in the material. Okay. And just to finish the unit, I would skip the review. Oops. I would skip the review, and I would work with the video that there is in this unit, the skills for pros. I would, because it's about researching, and I think that it would bring together many of the ideas we discussed during the unit. So I think that it would be good. Okay. Girls, I chose this unit to use because if you are teaching the first grade, this is a unit you may work with right now in the beginning of the semester. So you could already think of some ideas. Yes. And I wanted us to have this kind of discussion to understand the point of view, to understand the idea of choosing and deciding what we are going to use from the material according to our perspectives. Okay. And to finish the session, something that I want to remind you about is the approach of the book used in the material is communicative. So our focus should always be communication. We want to make students to talk, to listen, to write, yes, to read. We want to work with everything in terms of communication. There are lots of writing exercises in the material, and they are very good to work with. Students will get in touch with genres that are not so common in Portuguese, and they can practice their writing in English. But when they are practicing their writing in English, they are also improving their writing in Portuguese. As well, they are improving their speaking abilities. Okay, so try not to skip the writing parts if possible. And we have, as teachers, to consider that English is not only for vestibular or for Enem. English is for life. So we need to help our students to become not only good exam takers, but also good speakers of the language. Okay? And that's it. Any questions, girls? No questions, no comments?
No question, no comments. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Veronica.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the session.
You're welcome, Isa. You're welcome. You can talk to João. He's going to help you a lot. And if you need any help from me, please ask him, and he will talk to me. We get in touch, and I will be available to help you whenever